Welcome back to Beyond Tactical. In this video, we're going to be going over my 11.5 inch AR-15 build and then doing my first impressions. Okay, so first we're going to be going over the entire build. I have my notes here. I might look down to reference them. So we'll go back to front. Starting in the back, we have an SB tactical brace because this is technically an AR pistol. And then I have a PSA buffer tube left over from my old build. I have a Geisley braided buffer spring, which I think is the best upgrade you can make to an AR-15. A cheaper one especially. It just makes the gun cycle better and more efficiently, and it's also quieter. And then we have the Radian Raptor light charging handle. It's the polymer one. It's just lighter. I don't see why not to run that one over the full weight one. All right, so now moving on to my BCM upper receiver. I have the Mark II upper receiver, which has extra material, so it's supposed to be stronger. And then it also looks different. They have a shorter forward assist, and the block here, or whatever it is, for making sure casings don't go straight back. It's also smaller, which I like the look of it. I don't know if there's any added benefits. We'll find out. And then moving forward, I have a BCM 10-inch handguard, and this whole upper is in their FDE, which is it's a darker FDE than normal, just something you might want to know. And then here we have the Unity riser. This is the bigger one. I just wanted as much rise as possible. It's super solid. And then on top of it, I have the Holosun 512C, and it's been a great optic. I've had it for 2 or 3 years now, and it's never failed me. Plus, the solar fail-safe is really nice. If you forget to change the battery once a year, you can still run in the daylight, no problem. And this one is the gold dot, which I prefer over the red dot. I just can see the dot better. And then it also has the multiple reticle system, so you have the circle dot or the dot, or just the circle with no dot. And then more on the optic, it takes the battery thing is just a QD lever, which is super nice. I hate having to bring little screwdrivers to the range. And then I'll go down to the grip. I just run the Magpul grip. It's good. I've had it for a while. I like the storage compartment. You can put extra batteries in there, which is super nice, or Ear Pro. And then I have just a cheapo Anderson receiver, or Anderson Precision lower receiver. It's just a cheap option. I don't think the lower receiver matters too much unless you want ambidextrous mag release, things like that, which I don't really ever need or use. I have the Magpul bad lever for that, so that just lets me manipulate the bolt with both hands, which is super convenient and definitely adds some time to take some time off your reloads. And then for the trigger, I have the LaRue MBT. It's a 2-stage trigger it has a super good trigger press. There's no take up after the wall, so it's 4.5 pound pull. It's comparable to the 2-stage Geisley if you're familiar with those, but this one is, I believe, $100, and the Geisley is $250 or around there. So I just went with this one, and I'm glad I did. So for the safety and the mag release, I just run the stock stuff. It's perfectly good, and maybe in the future I'll change it if I feel like it, but for now it's perfect. And then I run the Magpul P-Mags. They're just cheap, affordable, and they always work, which is great. Then down here I have the BCM forward angled vertical grip, but I cut it down so that it's just a hand stop now, since this is a pistol. You can't have a vertical grip on it. And then forward I have the Surefire Scout Light, which for the money it's reliable, but for the money I don't know if I'd recommend it. It's only 500 lumens on this model, which isn't very bright. If you're familiar with the TLR1 or TLR1 HL, or the Surefire X300, those are all much brighter lights. So I would go with something brighter for a rifle. You don't get super far vision with this one, but other than that, it is reliable, which I like. And then on the front, I have the Polonium 556 suppressor. It's fantastic. It's the quietest suppressor I've heard personally on a 556. And then I have the adapter to the reared-in double compensator. So for the barrel, I forgot to mention, I have the BCM Cold Hammer Forged barrel. It's 11.5 inches, and then it has the mid-length gas system, which I believe is adjustable, but I'm gonna have to double check on that. So for the bolt carrier group, I run the BCM. It came with the upper receiver. Their bolt carrier groups are fantastic. Same with everything they make, but we'll be testing that more. We only have a few hundred rounds through it so far. And then on the Surefire Scout Light, I have the Surefire tape switch. So it has a button for on, off, and then you can tape the switch, which is temporary on, and then you release and it turns it off. I like the tape switches just because you don't have to worry about clicking a button, and you can have your light on the other side or on the ejection port side if you're right-handed, and that way it's just out of your field of view more when you're aiming down the barrel. Okay, and then on the suppressor, I use the reared-in comp and the adapter. I rock set the suppressor to the adapter, and then I rock set the comp to the barrel, because with these poloniums, they just screw on to the adapter and they can get stuck, which then doesn't take off everything when you go to twist it off, or it can pull the comp off of the barrel. So with these, it's important that you rock set the suppressor to the adapter and then the comp to the barrel. That is something I learned with this build. So some things I do to this rifle that are different than some people, or that makes it unique, I guess, is I spray paint all my rifles. I haven't spray painted this upper yet because I think it looks good how it is, but I basically just use the Rust-Oleum camouflage spray paint. I do a base coat of FDE or tan, and then I just put a bunch of brush or sticks down, and I just spray paint olive over, or the darker color, I forget what it's called, but that's also Rust-Oleum camouflage, and then I just go over it with the darker color, and it comes out like this. It comes out great every time, and the biggest thing I've learned is just the less effort you put into spray painting a gun, the better it turns out. Obviously, you got to tape off certain things like the reticle, or sorry, the glass, and I taped off my handle because I didn't want the gumminess, but you don't have to. And then the other thing I do to my rifles is I tape off the tape switch, so just so that it's not flailing around. And then also I do a few extra laps with the electrical tape just so I have extra tape if I need it at the range. And then I also tape down the switch, which is right here. I will probably be going towards like a cloth or something to help with the heat of the rifle a little bit more in the future, but you'll have to see that in later videos. All right, and then now we're going to go into some of the first impressions I have with an 11.5 over 16-inch barrel, and what's different, what I like, what I don't like. Okay, some of my first impressions from going from a 16-inch barrel to a 11.5 barrel are that the concussion is much greater on the 11.5 because you got the shorter barrel, more unburnt powder, and then it just is way more concussion to the people around you and to you. It was shockingly more, so that's something to consider if you're not going to be suppressing your shorter rifle. I would probably not get this length of a barrel if I wasn't going to run it suppressed 99% of the time. And then the other thing is that if you're not going to SBR it or make it a short-barreled rifle to the ATF, you're going to have to run a brace, which is kind of a downside. And then also you can't have a vertical grip, which to some people that's fine. For me, it's fine. I like just the hand stop. But and then the pros were, there was a lot more pros than cons. It was much easier to bring to my face. It's just lighter in general, especially running the suppressor on a 16-inch barrel makes it pretty heavy in the end. The weight of this rifle is much less, and I find that with the shorter rifle, you're not hitting your barrel on as many things when it's stowed and you're using your pistol or secondary, which is definitely a pro to that. Also, with CQB stuff, just getting around doors and stuff like that, it's just much easier with the shorter barrel and not flagging people, that sort of thing. So another thing I noticed with the 11.5 is that it seemed especially suppressed, is that because there's more work and gas going into the gun, it was heating up the handguard way more than my 16-inch. So that was something to consider. After a full mag, it was pretty hot to the touch, and after 2 mags, it was almost too hot to hold. So that's something to consider if you're running a suppressor. Maybe something that prevents heat in the handguard would be good for this. That's it for my 11.5 AR-15 build. Let us know if you want to see anything else in the comments. And if you have any questions, make sure to like and subscribe and share. We'll see you next time.